Well, really an intriguing set of lambs in this class, and I'll be honest with you. You've got three different kinds is what you really got, and that's really kind of the situation out here. Fact of the matter is, the Southdown Weather that wins this thing wins it by miles. He is way the best one in terms of type and kind. He's one that's really handles nice and fresh down his top. He's adequate in terms of his muscularity. But we can all see his structural design, the squareness of hip, the extra percent hind saddle in this guy. He's just totally dominant in this class. This is a nice lightweight weather. We run into four lambs that are completely different from this point on, and you either run those two second and third, or you run them like I did. And I'll be honest with you, the two black-faced sheep at this point just aren't ready. And you ladies know that. They've got to have more time. The two real muscular lambs in second and third are Texel crosses, tremendously big-butted, big-top lambs. They've got more bloom on them at this point because they're not going to be as big as the black-faced sheep. So they have an advantage from a carcass merit standpoint. Young man's lamb that's going to come second is just the square top one. He has more shape to his forerib. He handles with a bit more touch and shape today. For me, he's too short-bodied. He's too short in his hip. He's one that's got to be neater through his shoulder. But I think just in terms of carcass merit, he's the logical second-place lamb in the class. The other man that's going to come third, same kind of sheep. I mean, those two lambs could be twin brothers for all I know. That one for me is one that still has some shape through his upper hip and lower leg. Gets too rough through his shoulder. He's a little plainer in his top. He wants to break behind his shoulder. The spec lamb that's going to come forth, if he's at 150, you're in the game with that one because he's long-bodied, he's tall, he's super good fronted. He's got a nice touch. He's just so green and so far from slaughter weight that it's just at a big disadvantage today. The little black-faced ewe here on the end, not a bad sheep in her own right, too. Just really, really, really green. She just needs more time. I think an interesting class, good one to start with. Congratulations.
Results on Class 2. First place, Elizabeth Schubel. Second place, Seth Royal. Third place, Joshua Royal. Fourth place, Evelyn Bryant. And fifth place, Kendall Abrizi. Reading down your program, it is 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Our next class in the ring should be Class 3. We have 3 entries. If we can get Class 4 to the makeup area, Lyric Allen, Delina Bryant, Preston Clark, Trenton Latham, and Gracie Stevens.
Really a nice set of lambs top to bottom in this class. The young man's kind of Hampshire appearing ewe lamb. She's pretty dominant out here. Just, you study her from a sheer muscularity standpoint. She is big and bold about her rack. You love her in terms of one that squares up quite nice to her loin edge. You get behind her, she blows the other two away, just in terms of power and muscle shape, like the bone. And she's really cool in her pattern. Got a super look to her. Nice little ewe lamb. Really close between second and third. I chose to use the weather to drop second in the class. To me, he's just square right to his loin edge when you get right on this guy. Now, he's not ready yet. He's one that needs a little more time. He's really green, but he's good to the touch. He has more true, real muscle shape in him in terms of rack shape as he opens out the backside of his shoulder than the ewe lamb in third. Ewe lamb in third's a beautiful sheep. I see her more as a breeding type stock than I do necessarily a market lamb. Round rib, good body, really, really fresh. Done a great job feeding that one. Just got to have more on the south end of her. She's got to be stouter, got to be wider base, got to have more top shape for me. Nice class though, really nice one on the top end.
Results on Class 3. First place, Preston Clark. Second place, Elizabeth Schubel. And third place, Madison Keller. The next class in the show ring should be Class 4. We should have 5 kids. If we can get Class 5 to the makeup area, Delaney Clark, Michaela Eckenrode, Trenton Latham, and Morgan Williams.
Really got a nice trio of lambs on the top end of this class. The young man's ewe lamb that's going to win the drive. Just dominates just in terms of squareness of hip and power out through her lower stifle. She is so much nicer than the lambs in second and third in terms of rear flank and fore rib. Big rack setting in this one. I think she just wins real nice for me. Really close between second and third, and I wouldn't argue if you wanted to switch that pair. The lamb that's going to come second, this ewe lamb, she's bigger racked. She's squarer out to her loin edge. She's actually bigger in her hip placement when you get into her. Now, she tapers too much back to her tail set there. She wants to be off in her rump. Her biggest problem is she's just a little bit goofy and doesn't want to show for the young lady. But that's a pretty nice kind of ewe lamb from a carcass composition standpoint. The blue sheep's really the more attractive one. Better in terms of chest floor, better in terms of tallness of front. Sad part is this weather's just not ready. He needs to go on to quite a bit heavier weights to feel real comfortable with his frame size. Love his length, love his squareness of design. Just a little too shelly topped when you get into him today. Just needs some more days on feed. Little ewe lamb that's going to come next. She's got more bloom on her today than the one that precedes. But here's one that gets a little too low fronted. Got to make this one taller fronted. That lamb's too stale to the touch when you get your hands on it. Got to be squared up, and its top got to be leaned up a bit. Bigger, more attractive kind of sheep going to come here on the end. This ewe lamb's one that really excels in length of body, and I appreciate the length of hind saddle. Just way too flat from a muscularity standpoint, both on the top side and through the lower stifle. Nice set, guys. Congratulations.
Results on Class 4. First place, Preston Clark. Second place, Gracie Stevens. Third place, Larrick Allen. Fourth place, Delana Bryant. Fifth place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, it is 3, 4, 1, 5, and 2. Our next class in the show ring should be Class 5. Following this class, we are going to pick our lightweight champion and reserve champion market lamb. If we can get Class 6 to ringside, we need Raylene Kaiholtz, Carter Matthews, Jessica Saylor, and Gracie Stevens.
Really got a competitive set of lambs on the top end of the class. The young lady's natural colored weather, it's going to lead out to dry. He wins it just in terms of freshness today. Squareness coming out of his shoulder, one that opens up with enough rack shape. Really one that you appreciate from a standpoint of profile and balance when you get him out here. Where that rear flank sets of this guy in relation to his chest floor. I think a pretty nice one. Now, for me, I'd like to pick him up at his pin set just a little bit and square that hip in that sheep. But that's a pretty nice one to come out on the top end. Lamon's going to come second. Got a touch more fleece on him today, so he handles just a little bit different. Here's a guy that's really shapely when you get on the back side of him as he's going away. Again, one to me that's got to be square in his rump. He's second today because he doesn't have enough rack shape. You get on top of this guy, he's just too flat through his forerib. He doesn't open up with enough squareness to his rack. He's good to his loin edge, maybe the best of the top three to his loin edge, but he doesn't have enough rack, and so that kind of drops him into second for me. Real shapely hip one going to come next. I like this young lady's lamb. Sweetheart, I'll be honest with you. He needs to be at 140 to be right, and he's just not there at this stage of the game. He's one that wants to roach in his top when you get him on the move. He's a touch too full as he comes at me today. And so what's happening is it's rolling him out of his edges on his loin. Again, got to have more rack. Got to have more rack. He's just beautiful fronted. He is wicked cool up through his front third. Just doesn't have enough power on the top side of him today. Young lady's lamb's going to come next. That one's probably one of the bloomier ones in the group, and I appreciate that. You like this lamb in terms of one who's pretty fresh on the top side of his skeleton. It's when we start walking him, he gets in trouble just a little bit. He's a touch fine bone. He needs a bigger foot. He needs stouter feature about him. He's one for me that really wants to roach up in his top when you get him on the move. Gets a little more opened up through his lower shoulder for me as you watch him in relation to the top set. Young man's little ewe lamb here on the end, still a nice sheep. One that's got some top shape, got some hip, but you watch this one go, coming at you and going away. She's too flat in her design. She's got to be rounder ribs. She's got to have more power. Really a nice class. Congratulations to all those young people.
Results on Class 5. First place, Michaela Eckenrode. Second place, Michaela Eckenrode. Third place, Morgan Williams. Fourth place, Delaney Clark. And fifth place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, it is 4, 2, 1, 5, and 3. Our next class in the ring should be Class 6. This is our last class of lightweights. Following this class, we're going to pick our champion and reserve champion lightweight market lamb. If we can get Class 7 to the makeup area, we need Larrick Allen, Delana Bryant, Caroline Clark, and Delaney Clark.
Real nice class of lambs in this drive. And then you got to make the judgment call, and we'll discuss that when you get to it. The blue sheep, I'll be honest with you, I'd like to pick him up with his tail set just a little bit. But you're talking about handling quality. There's nothing close to this sheep out here. Big rack, got some shape out to his loin edge. He's way the freshest one in terms of touch today. And then still has enough shape when you get out behind him in terms of some lower stifle and natural depth of twist. Really good down through his chest floor. Just wins real nice for me. The lamb that's going to come second. If I had about 45 days, that's the sheep that I'd bet on. Cool patterned one. Just wicked neck. Love this guy in terms of the touch and the handle he's got. He just doesn't have it out to his loin edge. He's too flat in his rib. He's too empty as he comes to me today in terms of natural gut feel. But that's a really good pattern one that's got some power and kind. Sheep that's going to come third. Here's a ewe lamb that's sure got some muscle shape to her. I like that sheep better in terms of balance, in terms of neatness of front. One to me that really excels in terms of percent hind saddle. My little gal's super heavy, muscled one going to come fourth. That one is crazy from a muscle standpoint. Huge top, big hip, way too coarse, way too short body. Not nearly sound enough on either end of his skeleton.
Results on Class 6. First place, Jessica Saylor. Second place, Carter Matthews. Third place, Gracie Stevens. And fourth place, Braylon Kaiholtz. Now we need our first and second place lambs back into the ring so we can pick our champion and reserve champion lightweight market lamb. So the first two lambs we need is from Lizzie and Seth. And then we need Preston and then Lizzie. And we need Preston and Gracie. And then Michaela and Michaela. And then we need Jessica's first place back in the ring. The first class was not sale eligible, so they're not out here. They did not make weight. That's why we only have 5, but we did 6 classes. Our sheep exhibitors would like to thank our sponsors this week: Dave and Raina Farmer, Chestnut Hill Farm and Market, the Stolberg family, the Kaiholtz family, Orchard View Farms, the Neff family, Clark Family Farm and Fibers, the Clark family, Sunset Spring Farm Fibers, the Latham family, Brookfield Pumpkin Patch, Sheepman Supply, South Mountain Collision and Auto, Heartfelt Show Supplies, Annette Delaplane. Our t-shirt sponsor for today is Thompson Fuel. And then we also want to do a special thank you to Kreitz Auto and the Great Frederick Fair.
Well, if you would, put your hands together and congratulate these young people. Really a nice set of these lightweight lambs. And it's always a little bit of a challenge when you get into the lightweights because so many of them just aren't ready yet. And so you're just kind of trying to find that sheep that's got enough muscle shape but structurally has the integrity to go on to a heavier weight if you need to. And it gets pretty close out here. There's sheep that I really like kind-wise that are way away from being ready. And then you got sheep that are closer to being market ready, but maybe get a little plainer, get a little just not quite the look, not quite the touch in them. So it gets really, really close for me. I think you got an easy champion. There's one sheep out here, just in terms of sheer muscle shape, rack shape, depth of loin edge, and then the big hip this one's got, way the best hip sheep in the class when you get them out here. I think one that wins real nice. My time has been spent trying to figure out who do you make reserve. And all the remaining sheep that were in contention against our champion, and then even the one that was second in class to move up, just aren't ready from a condition standpoint. So you kind of drop back and say, okay, who's got enough power? Maybe just not there yet, but the chest floor's right, design's right. And I think when you do that again, gets pretty close out here, but again, I think there's one that just excels from that standpoint. If you would, put your hands together one more time. Let's recognize these young people for a super job at these lightweights.
Your champion lightweight marker lamb is exhibited by Preston Clark. Our reserve champion lightweight marker lamb is also exhibited by Preston Clark. Now we're ready to move on to our medium weight division. So if we can have class 7 into the show ring, and then class 8 to the makeup area. Class 8 is Preston Clark, Jana Inskeep, Jordan Inskeep, Aubrey Lambert, and Jessica Saylor.
Interesting set of lambs in this class. The young lady's whether it's going to lead out to drive does so just real easy for me. That's the best balanced one that's got the right kind of muscle shape. And his advantage over the ewe lamb in second, he's taller fronted. He's cooler right up through his neck set. He sets higher out of the top of his scapula. He's one I think is pretty nice at this weight. At times he wants to set just a little soft on his pastern, so you got to be careful how you set that sheep just a little bit. Super nice weather to win. Ewe lamb is going to come second, so I think the next logical choice. Now for me, she's too low fronted. She runs downhill too much. She drops too much chest floor when you get in front of her. But she is big topped and big hipped and got a tremendous amount of power in her. I love her from that standpoint. She is the softest handling in the class, and I'd just like to firm her up in terms of condition just a little bit. But a super nice kind of ewe lamb for second. Big extreme pattern ewe lamb going to come third. I'll be honest with you, sweetie. She just needs another 30 days is what she needs so she can go ahead and mass up. She's wicked cool-necked. I love the extra look she's got. Needs more bone, needs more stout, needs to be bigger footed when you get into her. But I think a pretty nice one. Heavier duty one coming in the young lady's weather coming next. He's one again that he's just too spongy in his handle today when you get a hold to this guy. Wants to roll out of his hip and his pin set just a bit. For me, I think when you put him on the move, his chest floor just drops out of him too much. Like to change him, he's got good muscle. That's not an issue. It's just balance and quality. Got a pretty nice one here on the end. He's really big-butted when you get out behind him. He's a little too soft in terms of his touch. Really stale over his loin edge today. We just got to freshen that one up. He needs to be sounder as he moves out of his back two. Nice class, guys. Really nice one on the top end.
Results on Class 7. First place, Delaney Clark. Second place, Lyric Allen. Third place, Caroline Clark. Fourth place, Lyric Allen. And fifth place, Delana Bryant. Reading down your program, it is 4, 2, 5, 3, and 1. Our next class in the ring should be Class 8. We should have 6 kids. If we can get Class 9 to the makeup area, we need Delana Bryant, Preston Clark, J.C. Inskeep, Ella Jacobs, Trenton Latham, and Allison Rolls.
Well, I'll be honest with you, this is one of these classes that's really tough to put together and really just be comfortable that you got the sheep that puts everything together. Ewe lamb that's going to win the class, best design, best in terms of top shape, way the most fresh in terms of her loin edge. When you get into her, she hooks the best through her hip loin. For me, she's too low fronted, she's too tight in her rear flank. She doesn't have enough power in terms of her skeleton. Her bone work needs to be stoutened up. But she's so much better in terms of being ready to go. And ultimately, this is a terminal market show. Whether it's going to come second, heavier bone, I appreciate that. I appreciate the stout in him. He is wicked good racked in terms of just massive pop coming out of the backside of his shoulder. But he's not right through his loin. He comes up in his top. He doesn't hook with enough power out to his edges. He's one for me that rolls out of his hip too much when you get into him. He's a good sheep. He's just got some pieces that you got to figure out what to do with him. Kind-wise, I like the sheep in third. He's the one that's got some bone. He's really square hipped. He's got a big round rack laid in him. And then you get a hold of his loin and he doesn't have one. He's way too stale to the touch to his loin edge. If he just squared up, sweetie, if he would just handle right here, and you can see it, with the hide rolling up on this guy, he just doesn't have it to his edges. If he did, he'd win, and I wouldn't even think about it from that standpoint. Ewe lamb is going to come next. Dude, she is cool-fronted now. That one is cobra-necked and sets high out of the top of her scapula. I love her from that standpoint. She's got some shape when you get right behind her. She tapers to her dock just a little bit. She rolls out of her edges on her loin. We just like to freshen and square her up to her edges. Young lady's got a super stout one. That one's ultra big-butted. Really got a big hip. Too low-fronted, too round shoulder. Just doesn't have much touch when you get a hold of him. Young lady, she sure fought this little one here on the end, but she didn't quit on me, and I appreciate that. That one's got to have more muscle, sweetheart, from one end of his skeleton to the other. Let's give those kids a nice round of applause. Tough class.
Results on Class 8. First place, Preston Clark. Second place, Jessica Saylor. Third place, Aubrey Lambert. Fourth place, Preston Clark. Fifth place, Jana Inskeep. And sixth place, Jordan Inskeep. Next class in the show ring should be Class 9. If we can get Class 10.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jackie Cray, and on behalf of the Board of Directors for the Great Frederick Fair, we want to welcome all of you tonight to our Market Lamb Show. Let's give these kids a nice round of applause because we're so glad to have them back this year. Who missed the fair? Who missed the fair last year? I see Karen McAfee, and she's telling me she missed the fair last year. We all missed it. We're so glad to have you back. Thank you to all of our exhibitors. Have a great day. Have a great week at the fair, and thank you to all of our parents and supporters for making it happen for the kids this week. Thank you.
If we can get Class 10 to the makeup area, Chloe Kaiholtz, Trenton Latham, Jessica Saylor, Gracie Stevens, and Ava Stolberg.
Well, I tell you guys, without a doubt, the most competitive pair we've had in the ring tonight out here, and both of them really, really nice sheep. Ideally, I'd like to take a piece or two off of each one of them and kind of hook them together to come up with the one that I want. Young ladies, whether it's going to win the class does so in terms of handling quality. He is way the best and fullest and freshest out to his edges. You like this guy in terms of that big old hip he's got setting in him. It's good in terms of one who's still really, really right in terms of his condition. Wants to drop his chest floor just a touch more than I'd like. Got a little more set to his running gears behind when you set him in motion, but that's an awfully nice sheep. This blue sheep is wicked cool, young man. He is radically cool right through his front end. I love him through his rack. He's really square out to his loin edge. And then you get to his hip loin, and you can see it when he's all cranked up there. He just doesn't tie from his hip loin right. You put him in motion. Here's one that wants to tuck just a little more in that rear rib than I'd like. He's one that I'd like to make him just a little more fluid in his step. But man, I'm being awfully critical of a really good sheep, young man. Sheep that's going to come third. I think another pretty nice one out here. He's a distant third from a muscle standpoint to the top two. He's okay in terms of top shape. He's got some upper hip. He tapers down to his lower pin, from his pins down to his hock there. One that gets a little too round topped for me. Young lady sheep that's going to come next. Really a pretty square made one, and I appreciate that sheep from that standpoint. He's just too dry topped when you get into him. He gets too much lower shoulder pop for me. We got to balance that one just a touch more. Young man sheep that's going to come next. Really a cool fronted one. Really attractive when you get in the front of that sheep, but just doesn't have enough muscle shape from behind. Big extreme pattern weather here on the end. He's just way too green, sweetie. He's got to have more shape, more power. It's too stale when you get a hold of him today. Nice class, really competitive pair on the top end.
Results on Class 9. First place, Ella Jacobs. Second place, Preston Clark. Third place, Allison Rolls. Fourth place, J.C. Inskeep. Fifth place, Trenton Latham. And sixth place, Delana Bryant. Reading down your program, it is 6, 2, 4, 1, 5, and 3. Our next class in the show ring should be Class 10. There should be 5 entries. And then we need Class 11 to ringside. We need Larrick Allen, Caroline Clark, and Delaney Clark.
dominant class winner in this class, the young ladies lamb. It's going to lead out. That weather's he just overpowers everything out here. He's great to the touch. Big, massive honking hip in that guy. He's one that you really like in terms of being a long body, high percent hind saddle sheep that's going to be tremendously good in terms of carcass merit. Now he's got some issues. I'd like to tuck that chest floor still. To be that radical and extreme, needs that lower breastplate tucked just a little bit for me. That's a pretty good sheep. Lamon's going to come second. I think just logically fits in. He's leaner and higher cutability than the lamb that's going to come third. You like that one in terms of his hip. He's got a big old pin set sitting this guy. He just doesn't have enough depth to twist. He doesn't have enough power when you get behind him. You put him in motion. This guy's front end drops out just a touch. Really a long spine, long hipped one's going to come third. I like that sheep from that standpoint. Big old heavy boned rascal. But again, just a distant third in terms of muscularity. He's not fresh enough to his loin edge when you get on top of him in relation to the top two. Lamon's going to come fourth. Here's another one that if he just had a touch more lower butt, I could probably run that sheep as high as second. He's square topped. He handles really well, but you get behind him and he's just not stout enough. He doesn't have enough power. We got a stouter one here, but on the top side of him, he's just way too green, young man. Too much spine up in this guy. Got to power him up. He's got the pieces. He's just not ready from a standpoint of condition and handling quality. Nice class, good one on the top end.
Results on Class 10. First place, Ava Stolberg. Second place, Chloe Kaiholtz. Third place, Gracie Stevens. Fourth place, Jessica Saylor. And fifth place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, it is 2, 5, 4, 3, and 1. We have some of our fair royalty and FFA ambassadors with us. We'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Dallas Hassel. I'm from the Untitled Chapter, and I'm on the state winning dairy milk quality team, and I'm the historian of our chapter. Hi, I'm Brianna Bongard. I'm one of the fair royalty ambassadors for this year. I show rabbits and horses, and I'm excited to be at the fair with you guys this year. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Following this class, we're going to pick our champion and reserve champion medium weight lambs.
Well, I'll be honest with you guys, this class is pretty challenging to put together. You really don't have that sheep that just says, I'm the Mac Daddy and you got to use me. You're piecing together everything in this class from that standpoint. I admit up front, the sheep that's going to win this thing's too hard-ribbed for me. He doesn't hook right through his hip loin. But he is way the best balanced. He's the freshest through his rack when you get into this guy. He's got as much natural width of base and shape from behind as anything in the class. I don't like him on the move. He wants to roach up in his top. He gets too hard in his kind. But to me, he's the lesser of all evils when I get him in the class. The sheep I thought was going to win this thing's coming second. He's the squarest to his edges when you get on the top side of him. He's got as much power, probably more power than anything else in the class. He's just not balanced nearly enough through his lower shoulder. He's got too much set to his rear leg when you get into him. Gets way too open and coarse right through the top part of his shoulder for me. Just got to change the maturity in this guy a little bit. Sheep that's going to come third, probably the second best just in terms of sheer top shape today, but one that gets way too straight in his shoulder. He doesn't hook right through his loin edge when you get into this guy. He's not right in his hip loin for me. But not a bad, none of these are bad sheep. They've just all got places that you got to figure out how much of it can you take. He's got too many of those things, particularly structurally, for me to let me in the top two. Young lady's got a nice sheep. That sheep's sure not bad to be standing in the bottom of the class. He's got a great hide. He's got a great touch to him. He is the shelliest topped one. He's the one whose top isn't quite right today when you get into him. When you get right behind him of this set, he's the flattest through his lower stifle, but not a bad sheep. I've judged lots of shows where I wish I had one that good to use. Just kind of ran into one of these classes where he's not really ready to go ahead onto the top. Nice class, guys. Congratulations.
Results on Class 11. First place, Lyric Allen. Second place, Caroline Clark. Third place, Caroline Clark. And fourth place, Delaney Clark. Reading down your program, it is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to pick our champion and our medium champion, medium weight market lambs. So we need Delaney Clark and Lyric Allen, Preston Clark and Jessica Saylor, Ella Jacobs and Preston Clark, Ava Stolberg and Chloe Kaiholtz, and Lyric Allen and Caroline Clark. Our judge this week is Mr. Terry Burks. Him and his wife Alice of 33 years is from Bowling Green, Kentucky. He is a retired professor of English Studies from Chifeng University in China. He has a bachelor's and master's degree in animal science from Western Kentucky University, and he has judged over 1,000 shows in 43 states. If we can get class 12 in our first class of heavyweights to the makeup area, Larrick Allen, Jordan Inskeep, Ella Jacobs, Trenton Latham, and Jessica Saylor. This is a reminder to all of our youth exhibitors. If you have showed and you're going to sell that animal on Saturday, please come up to the first barn. Austin will take your picture of your lamb and your sell paper. Then after that, you can turn in your orange sell papers to the desk. So if you have already showed your lamb, please come up to the upper barn, get Austin to take your photo, and then he'll take a picture of your orange sale paper, and then you can turn it into the sales desk, or the desk here in the showroom.
Well, I tell you, super set of these middleweight sheep. Let's give them a nice round of applause, if you would. It's been a little bit tougher division at times as we delve down into lower places in this division, is trying to find those sheep that are fresh enough, that are square enough to the loin edges, sheep that still have some look and some design to them, and not necessarily the heaviest muscle, but as much muscle as we can get. But more importantly, the right kind of muscle, some shape to their rack, right in terms of their edges out to their loin, and those that hook right through their hip loin. To me, it comes down to 3 sheep out here, and you got to make the judgment call. How much is enough? What's maybe not enough? One of the sheep out here is the best right through his chest floor, right through his front end. But he's the one that is probably third of the group that's in contention, just in terms of sheer mass and sheer power. Really kind of comes down to ultimately then 2 lambs to me that just are dominant in terms of just sheer topside mass, in terms of muscle. They're both going to be exceptionally good from a carcass standpoint. One of them gets a little bit tubular, pops just a touch of breastbone. The other one gets a little more crooked-legged, and that one's no better right through his chest. So it's a little bit of give and take for me. I like them both extremely well. It's just kind of a judgment call. Champion lamb tonight in this division is the best on the touch when you get a hold of him. One to me that I just like the extra length of body. I like the extra percent hind saddle in. Super nice pair. Give them another round of applause and I'll get your champions.
Your champion middleweight market lamb is exhibited by Ava Stolberg. Your reserve is exhibited by Ella Jacobs. All right, our next class should be our first class of heavyweights, class 12. We should have 5 entries. If we can get class 13 to ringside, Caroline Clark, Kylie Donnelly, Ava Stolberg, and Morgan Williams.
Nice lamb though, come out and win the class. This Blue Sheep's one. Just got that wicked cool hide when you get a hold of him. Super, super good to the touch in terms of handling quality. And he's one that's got as much natural shape on the top side of his skeleton and hip as anything we've got out here. For me, he still needs to be more dominant in terms of how he holds together out to his loin edge. Gets just a shot short at hip for me in terms of how this guy gets out and goes. Lamb is going to come second. Super big, heavy boned one. You like that one in terms of being really, really cool neck. Just rolls too much out of his hip. He's too steep out of his rump. Gets way too flat in his forerib for me. Lamb that's going to come third is really, really long bodied. I love his extra extension. He measures as well as anything we've got in the class out here. But again, he's not right in his hip. We got to square that one up. We got to pick the pin set up in this guy. Sets too low in his neck. That neck just doesn't come out of the top of his scapula right. He's too flat in his forerib. But sure, very, very shapely from the view I'm looking at out of him right now. Young lady's got a nice sheep, just in terms of being a big-bodied, good feeding kind of lamb. He needs more muscle, sweetie, to run on the top end of the class. He's got way too much chest plate when you get into him. Young man's got a nice lamb here on the end. That sheep's not bad. He's cool patterned. He's attractive. He is just too dry topped. He doesn't have enough bloom. He doesn't have enough shape coming out of the backside of his shoulder. Just got to have more power in the market lamb class. Nice job, guys.
Results on Class 12. First place, Ella Jacobs. Second place, Larrick Allen. Third place, Jessica Saylor. Fourth place, Jordan Inskeep. And fifth place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, it is 2, 4, 1, 5, and 3. Our next class in the ring is Class 13. We should have 5. If we can get Class 14 to the makeup area, Jana Inskeep, Kaylee Matthews, Jessica Saylor, and Marshall Stevens.
Nice class of lambs out here. The young lady's ewe lamb that's going to win this thing. Wins it pretty handily for me. She's the combination of length of body, attractiveness of front. Way, way, way the freshest out to her loin edge when you get into her. Got a really, really attractive stifle and hip design of that female. Pretty cool when you get right into the front of her. Just a nice sheep. Lamb is going to come second, so most like her. Super square out to her, dock set. You like that one in terms of having some rib shape to her. She's one that gets just a nickel stale when you get right on the top of her in relation to her class winner, but I think a pretty nice sheep to come second. Probably a bigger butted one going to come third, at least in terms of sheer expression. She's got more natural lower pop to her stifle. I like that one from that standpoint. She's already starting to lay some patchiness down in terms of fore-rib fat. We got to trim that one just a little bit in terms of condition to go ahead and get her higher in the drive. Sheep that's going to come next, another one I think you have to appreciate from a standpoint. But he's a high cutability lamb, but one that just doesn't have enough rack. He's too flat in his rib. It's got to be opened up out to his loin edge for me. Got a super, super stout one down here on the end. Big bodied, big hipped one. Sweetie, he's just like me. He's been on the feed bucket way too long.
Results on Class 13. First place, Ava Stolberg. Second place, Caroline Clark. Third place, Caroline Clark. Fourth place, Morgan Williams. And fifth place, Kylie Donnelly. Reading down your program, it is 2, 3, 5, 1, and 4. Our next class in the show ring is Class 14. We should have 4 entries. If we can have Class 15 to ringside, Ella Jacobs, Aubrey Lambert, Ava Stolberg, and Ava Stolberg.
Well, as we continue to move up on weights, kind of got to figure out where we're going to be in terms of body condition on these guys. And I'll be honest with you, the weather that's going to win, he's got all the cover on him he needs at this stage of the game. But it's not enough to beat him in this class. He's the freshest. He's the biggest top. He's the biggest hip. He's the squarest rump. He's the freshest when you get your hands on him. Now he's too low fronted. He's too deep chested. He runs downhill too much for me. But in terms of sheer power, woo, he's way out there in relation to this class. Lamon's going to come seconds, higher cutability, and I appreciate that about him. He's a lot leaner as you get down through his chest floor and through his forerib, but he's not fresh enough to his loin edge, sweetie. He doesn't square up enough as he ties to his hip. He wants to taper and roll too much out of his rump when you get into him. For me, stouter, square hipped one going to come third, and it's really close between second and third. This guy's one, though, that when you get your hands on him, just gets way too plain in terms of his handling quality. Really rolls out of his chest floor when you get into this guy. Not sound enough on his hip and hind leg in terms of how he sets and moves off those rear two. My little gal here, she's got a big old extreme one. You like that one in terms of being ultra tall fronted, but he's just way too stale today, and so that's kind of where he drops. Doesn't have enough top shape for me. Got to be opened up to his loin edge. Nice class, though.
Results on Class 14. First place, Kaylee Matthews. Second place, Jessica Saylor. Third place, Marshall Stevens. And fourth place, Jana Inskeep. Reading down your program, it is 4, 1, 2, and 3. Next class in the ring is Class 15. We should have 4 entries. If we can have 16 to the makeup area, Delana Bryant, Kylie Donnelly, JC Inskeep, Madison Keller, and Ava Stolberg.
interesting set of lambs in this class, and the problem comes just in terms of fullness and flank and freshness when you get into these guys. So whether it's going to win the class is the one that you like the best in terms of sheer power through his rack. He ties better through the center of his top and the tie of his back right here. Really a big hipped one. It's tremendously deep in his twist. He is the best in terms of his flank. You study this pair right through their chest floor, and he's way the better one from that standpoint. Longer bodied one coming second. I appreciate that. He's the most like the class winner in terms of just being big and full on his top. You like that one from that standpoint. He ties up in the center of his back when you get into him. He's got too much chest floor when you get him on profile for me, but I like that sheep quite well. Problem sheep's third. He's first or third, and that's what you got to figure out what you're going to do with him. He is the best in terms of sheer touch when you get your hands on him. He's a sheep, though, that's a distant third in muscle in terms of power through his rack and depth of loin edge. He's super long-bodied. His problem for me is he doesn't balance on profile. He doesn't have enough flank in relation to his chest floor. He's one that wants to get up under himself in terms of because he just doesn't have enough feel in him today. For me, that sheep would look better up in the 50s than he looks where he's sitting at today. Nice sheep, though. Lamb that's going to come forth. That's a nice ewe lamb. She just doesn't have near the power that those three wethers have on the top end. She's the shelliest in terms of top side shape for me today, but a nice sheep, sweetie, just in terms of having some bones, some stout. Really good class. Congratulations.
Results on Class 15. First place, Ella Jacob. Second place, Ava Stolberg. Third place, Ava Stolberg. And fourth place, Aubrey Lambert. Reading down your program, it is 1, 4, scratched, 2, and 3. Our next and our final class of market lambs tonight is Class 16. We should have 5 entries. Following this class, we're going to pick our champion and our reserve champion heavyweight market lambs. This is a reminder to all the youth. If you are done showing for tonight and you're selling in Saturday's sale, please go up to the upper barn, have Austin take your photo, and then he's going to take a picture of your orange sale sheet, and then you can turn that sale sheet in here at the desk. So if you're done showing for tonight, get Austin to take your photo up in the first barn. They'll take a picture of your lamb and your sale sheet, and then you can turn your sale sheet into the desk.
Easy class winner in the young ladies, whether it's going to lead out to drive. Just sheer body mass and power and cutability lets this guy win. Big top setting this guy. Tremendous hip when you get into him. It's a little rounder shouldered and a little coarser fronted than I'd prefer, but just in terms of sheer mass and density, cutability, he's got to win the class. Elam's going to come second. She got too much on her, sweetie, but she's ultra fresh. She's big top. She's got the right kind of ribs sitting in her. I think she just logically falls in for me, and just in terms of power and freshness today. Lamon's going to come third. I think one that's pretty nice just in terms of having some freshness to his top. He flattens just a little too much when you get behind him. He doesn't have the depth of twist we'd like to see. Gets way too deep-chested when you get in front of him. He's just kind of mature. Young ladies, Lamon's going to come next. Probably one of the highest cutability ones in the class just from that perspective. But he just doesn't have enough top shape, so he's just too flat, too A-frame coming out of the top side of his shoulder. We got to open him up to his pin set. Young man's Elam here on the end. Big extreme, long-bodied one that's still pretty good from a cutability standpoint. Sadly, in this class, she just doesn't have enough power and muscle to run on the top end.
Results on Class 16. First, Ava Stolberg. Second, Kylie Donnelly. Third, Delana Bryant. Fourth, J.C. Inskeep. And fifth, Madison Keller. Now we're going to pick our champion and reserve champion heavyweight market lambs. We need Ella Jacobs and Larrick Allen. We need Ava and Caroline. Kaylee and Jessica. We got Ella and Ava. And Ava and Kylie. Following this selection, then we'll do our grand champion and our reserve grand champion, and then our Chestnut Hill lamb, and then our champion and reserve champion bred known, and then we'll do pairs. For the Chestnut Hill lamb, you and your lamb must be sale eligible. The Willard family will be giving the exhibitor $1,000, and on Saturday at the sale, the lamb would be auctioned off, and those proceeds would benefit the Frederick County Therapeutic Riding Program. Our judge this week has been Mr. Terry Burks, along with his wife Alice of 33 years. They are from Bowling Green, Kentucky. He is a retired professor of English studies from Cheerfunk University in China. He has a bachelor's and master's degree in animal science from Western Kentucky University, and he has judged over 1,000 shows in 43 states.
Well, again, before we select your heavyweight champion market lamb, let's give all the kids a nice round of applause. Really a good set of sheep, and my congratulations to you guys. It's always tough when you get into these heavyweight deals and trying to keep the sheep fresh and still get the right kind of look. And I know you're playing with upper weight limits and those kind of things, and you kind of got to manipulate weights a little bit, and so trying to get the flank and feel right on these big heavy lambs is always a little bit of a challenge. I'll be honest with you, in this heavyweight drive, we got every shape, kind, and form, and I don't apologize for that. It's just how it shakes out within the respective classes, what you got, what's fresh enough, what's got enough top shape, what's still acceptable from a cutability standpoint. Every lamb out here's got a thing or two I'd like to change about them to make them better. But with that said, there's two lambs that excel from a muscularity standpoint. They're better in terms of total top shape. They're the most acceptable for me in terms of freshness, along with having enough muscle mass and power. Both of them I'd like to change through their front ends just a little bit. But I think two awfully nice sheep. Let's give all the kids another nice round of applause. I'll get you two champions.
Our champion heavyweight market lamb was exhibited by Ella Jacobs. And our reserve was by Ava Stolberg. Before we pick our grand champion lamb, can we have all of our sheep exhibitors to the show ring, please? And if we can have a representative from Sheepman Supplies and Kreitz Auto to the show ring, please.
my name is Caroline Clark, and on behalf of me and all of the other youth sheep exhibitors, I would like to present this to Sheepman Supply. We thank you for sponsoring our show and sponsoring our t-shirts. Without you, we would not be showing here today with the great t-shirts that you provided us and all of the great things here at the show today for us. Thank you.
We're waiting on one more thing.
Once again, I would like to thank Kreitz Auto. Without you, we wouldn't be here today. We thank you for all of the sponsorship. We thank you for the great banners. Everybody, I'm sure, loves the banners. They're very colorful and very big and large, and they'd be great to hang up on our walls. And we also thank you for zero commission at our sale. That is amazing. We've never had this before. It's the first time. And I just wanted to thank you and present this to you for everything that you've done for us this year. So once again, my name is Caroline Clark, and on behalf of all of the used sheep exhibitors, we would like to present you, Mr. Terry Burks, as our judge with this great bucket of goodies, and we just thank you for everything that you've done and for sticking with us and judging all of our sheep shows. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to pick our grand champion market lamb. So I'm going to call you in by your weights. I'm going to do the champions first and then the reserves. So our champion lightweight was Preston Clark. Our medium weight champion was Ava Stolberg. And our heavyweight champion was Ella Jacobs. Our lightweight reserve was Preston Clark. Our reserve medium weight was Ella Jacobs. And our heavyweight was Ava Stolberg. As Mr. Burks goes out and picks our grand champion market lamb for the Great Frederick Fair, we just want to thank our sponsors again: Dave and Marina Farmer, Chestnut Hill Farm and Market, the Stolberg family, the Kaiholtz family, Orchard View Farm, the Neff family, Clark Family Farm and Fibers, the Clark family, Sunset Spring Farm and Fibers, the Latham family, Brookfield Pumpkins, Sheepman Supplies, South Mountain Collision and Auto, Heartfelt Show Supply, Annette Delaplane, Kreitz Auto, and the Great Frederick Fair. And we also want to say thank you to our judge this week, Mr. Terry Burks. If the kids that would like to participate in the Chestnut Hill Lamb want to start making their way down towards the show ring, following the selection of our grand and a reserve, we'll be doing the Chestnut Hill Lamb. And that's a reminder, you and your lamb must be sale eligible to participate. And also, if you are done showing for tonight, and you're going to participate in the sale on Saturday, go to the first barn, get your photo taken by Wolf's Auction, and then they'll take a picture of your lamb and your sale paper, and then you can turn your orange sale paper here to the table. Following the selection of the Chestnut Hill Lamb, we're going to move into the Best Bred and Owned. Each exhibitor can bring in one of their lambs that are bred and owned. To be bred and owned, you must have owned the mama at the time of breeding. Following the selection of our bred and owns, we'll move into pairs, starting with the lightweight. We also want to thank Thompson Fuel for sponsoring tonight's t-shirts. These t-shirts will also be worn on Saturday for our sale. Starting at 10 a.m. up at the Beef Barn is our rabbit and turkey sale. And then 1 p.m. is the beef, sheep, swine, and goat sale, sponsored by Wolf Auctions and Kreitz Auto.
Well, before we go out and select your champion market lamb and reserve tonight, let's give all the kids that participated tonight a big round of applause. Certainly been my pleasure to sort through the sheep tonight, and I tell folks all the time, it's one fat, bald-headed guy's opinion. It's all it's worth. It's all it's worth. But notoriously, every time we go to a stock show, we get all tore up about who won and who beat, and that judge was an idiot, and la, 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 la. I mean, it's just one of those things. That's part of the game. But here's the deal. It doesn't make a hill of beans what sheep I pick. It doesn't. You will long soon. Can anybody tell me who had the champion market lamb when I was here in 2009? Not a soul. You might remember. But because it doesn't matter. But I bet there's a lot of you can tell me who won it that year. I can sure tell you what the kid looked like. I don't know their name. Because the thing is, guys, it's not these four-legged critters in this ring the reason this happens. It's not the reason the Great Frederick Fair is called the Great Frederick Fair because of the animals. It's not the reason that your fair board comes down here at every show and welcomes you for being here. The reason that it happens is because of these kids. The reason, yeah, give them a round of applause. The reason those two banners hang on this wall right there, that those folks that were just recognized, aren't because of the livestock. It's because of the kids in this community. Folks, I can tell you this. I literally have judged well over 1,000 shows now. But I don't do it for the stock. I love the stock. I love talking stock. But I do it for the kids. Because when we lose perspective that it's about that critter right there and forget who's on the head of them, we need to quit. That's when we need to quit. My hat's off to this sheep committee. You guys ought to give them a nice round of applause. I'm telling you, starting 2 years ago, I got messages from that lady standing there, will you come? And then about every 30 days, I got one, you still on the are we still on the calendar? And I said, absolutely. One of my favorite places to come. Got good stock, you got great kids, and man, the crab is rocking around here. I'm just telling you, for a fat boy, that's pretty important. And it's always a pleasure to come. Young people, listen to me, okay? Listen to me. Be proud. Be proud. You know how many, there's 6 of you standing out here, and I think one of you owns more than one of the sheep. You know how many green shirts in this barn wish they were where you are at right now? All of them. All of them. Just happens to be your night. Okay? So be thankful. They've announced several times throughout the week that I retired from teaching in China, and we did spend 5 years in the country of China. But let me tell you something, guys. There's not a kid in that country who wouldn't trade places with you in a minute. In a minute. You see, it's different there. They start the school at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they finish school at 10:30 at night, 6 days a week. And they go to school till noon on Sunday. Most of those kids live at the school. Okay? I had a young lady in college, sophomore in college. Since 3rd grade primary school, she had seen her parents 3 times in her life. Be thankful. Be thankful. I'm proud of you. I've seen you guys work your tails off for 3 days. And what I really appreciate, we showing Hamps, everybody was showing Hamps. You showing Lincolns, everybody's showing Lincolns. It didn't make any difference. I picked folks to win showmanship, and I saw you guys hug each other. That's what this is about. Be thankful you get to play the game. I'm thankful to my crews. What a fabulous group of folks getting the stock in and out, just expedient and made it nice. Yeah, give them a nice round of applause. And I would be remiss if I didn't say I'm thankful to the good Lord above for giving me the health to be able to play this game. So I want to do that. So with that said, champion and reserve don't look alike. I'll admit it. They don't look alike. But they're the 2 best ones in the ring of what I've pulled tonight. Give them another big round of applause. I'll get you champion and reserve.
Your grand champion market lamb of the Kreitz Auto Great Frederick Fair Youth Livestock Show is exhibited by Ava Stolberg. Your reserve grand champion market lamb is exhibited by Ella Jacobs. Congratulations, ladies. All right, the next thing we're going to do is our Chestnut Hill lamb. The exhibitors are allowed to select one of their lambs. You can have won this in the past. We're starting fresh because it's 2021. You and the lamb must be sale eligible. And Chestnut Hill, the Willard family, will be giving the exhibitor $1,000. On Saturday, the lamb will be sold, and those proceeds will benefit the Frederick County Therapeutic Riding Program. Following the selection of our Chestnut Hill, we're going to move into our bred and own. Each exhibitor is allowed to select one of their bred and owned lambs. They must have owned the mama or the ewe at the time of breeding. Any more Chestnut Hill people? Just a reminder, if you are selling your lamb Saturday, to have your lamb's picture taken up in the first barn. After that, you can bring your orange sale sheets to me. If not, we don't want to go searching for you. So please have that done tonight. At 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, we are going to be numbering your lambs. After that, we are going to take them up to the beef barn, and that's where they're going to be for the sale on Saturday.
Well, before I select your third, what we've got remaining, this third overall lamb, and what a great program that this Chestnut Hill deal does. Give them a nice round of applause for what they do in this program. It's more than just rewarding one young person, and I think that's what's really special about this. So my hat's off to you guys. You want to come to Kentucky, we'll let you play in our game too sometime. I think when you get them out here, comes down to two sheep, but to me there's a pretty unique one as it came through class earlier today. Wow, you're talking about square out to its edges. Really cool. I think a pretty nice one. My little buddy right there on the end with the blue sheep's got your third overall. Congratulations.
Your Chestnut Hill lamb is exhibited by Mr. Preston Clark. Next up, we're going to do our bred and own. We're taking a picture because the family's here for right now. So give us a sec. So now we're going to pick our champion or reserve champion bred and owned market lambs. Following this selection, we'll move into our lightweight pairs. To be in that pair class, your lambs must have been in classes 1 through 6. After our pair classes, Miss Kitty is here to take pictures of our champions and our reserves, or if you want an award this week and would like your photo taken with the judge, she's here to do that. But that will be at the conclusion of picking our champion and our reserve champion pair of market lambs.
Well, before I select your champion bred and owned, I tell you, you guys should be really proud. Really, really proud. For those of you around ringside that don't know what bred and owned means, it means these kids didn't go buy this lamb somewhere. It means they were on the mama, they got the mama bred, they lambed mama out, and they raised the cotton picking thing on their own. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So my hat's off to all of you. It's even a bigger deal, when you bred and own the grand champion lamb, and that's him standing right down there. He's your champion bred and owned. Congratulations, girl. Now, water gets a little tight from here. And I'll be honest with you, it comes down to 2 sheep, and I want to recognize both of them. Okay, I know we only got 2 banners. I'll get it figured out, but there's 2 sheep that came out of that middle division that are really, really good. Really, really good. You got that young lady right there that won the first class of the middle division. Sweetheart, bring your sheep out. Now, we're just going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about it. You should be proud, young lady. That's a good booger. He is a really nice one. Congratulations to you. That sheep's sure in contention. So wait, stop. And then you got that young man that won the 3rd overall award right behind there on the same division. Now that one didn't get to come out of that division because of the other 2 that won. Okay? So these are the 2 that are in contention for reserve bred known. Okay? I'm taking nothing away from the sheep that remain in the ring. Some really nice sheep. But you guys, wow. You bred and owned these. That's impressive. That is so impressive at your age. There's a lot of big-time breeders wishing they were standing here right now. You with me? So be proud. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Super job. To me, reserve bred known. Young man with the blue sheep once again. Congratulations.
Our champion bred and known was exhibited by Ava Stolberg, and our reserve was exhibited by Preston Clark. Now we're going to move into our pairs. Our first group of pairs is our lightweights. Those lambs were in classes 1 through 6. And for right now, I have 5 entries. I have Preston Clark, Elizabeth Schubel, Trenton Latham, Gracie Stevens, and Evelyn Bryant. There is a white four-door Ford truck that is in Lot B across from the beef barn, across from the pig barn. Maryland tag 1DJ6694. You are blocking a trailer, and Mr. Farmer would like to go home with his cattle. So if you can please go move that. If there's any youth that are still in the barn in their green shirt that would like to help their fellow exhibitors with pairs, we truly appreciate it. Just a reminder, we do have a Herdsman Award that will be given out during our little roundup on Friday. First place in our lightweight pairs, Preston Clark. Second, Gracie Stevens. Third, Elizabeth Schubel. Fourth, Trenton Latham. And fifth, Evelyn Bryant. So we'll need Preston and Gracie's. Okay, we'll just need Preston's first place on standby. Our next group is our medium weights. Those lambs must have been between classes 7 and 11. Right now we have Delaney Clark, Preston Clark, Caroline Clark, Trenton Latham, Delana Bryant, Jessica Saylor, and Lyric Allen. Okay, no Jessica.
Test 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are selling a sheep in the livestock sale, you need to get with Kia and Austin. They're over here. Kia, Austin, wave your hand back there. If you're selling your sheep, we need to have your sales sheet. We need to know your information, and we need to have a picture in order to put them online. If you're not interested in selling, then don't come see us. But if you're not online, if you don't come get a picture, then you're not going to be online. You're not going to have your picture online. We need you to come see us if you're interested in selling. And that's very important. We did the same thing at the goats. We're doing it at the swine barn. We're doing it at the beef barn. If you're going to get sold, you got to come see us so we can get your picture taken with your animal so we can have your description online. It doesn't mean you won't make the sale, but if you want to be on the online catalog for your buyers, if you want your buyers to have the opportunity to buy your animal, you need to come see us. We only have 18 sheep so far up there, and I know there's more sheep being sold in the sale than that. Come and see us. Austin and Kia right over here, they're waving their hand. Come and see us before your night is through.
Results on our medium weight. First place, Delaney Clark. Second place, Preston Clark. Third place, Lyric Allen. Fourth place, Trenton Latham. And fifth place, Delana Bryant. Our next classes are heavyweights. Those lambs must have been in class 12 through 16. Right now I have 5 entries. I have Ella Jacobs, Caroline Clark, Jessica Saylor, Lyric Allen, and Ava Stolberg. Results on your heavyweights: first place, Ava Stolberg; second place, Ella Jacobs; third place, Caroline Clark; fourth place, Lyric Allen; and fifth place, Jessica Saylor. So now we need Preston's lightweight, Delaney's middleweight, and Ava's heavyweight back in for our champion and reserve champion pair market lambs. And then that will be the end of our market lamb show and our sheep show for the Great Frederick Fair.
Well, my compliments to you youngsters in this pair division. Really very competitive all the way through. I think, you know, sometimes we get tore up and we say, well, I had a first and a second, and you had a first and a third, so I should have beat you. It's got nothing to do with it. It's quality and uniformity. Uniformity, okay? Uniformity even of equal importance to quality. You could have two uniform bad ones, and that doesn't let you in. So what you're looking for is quality plus uniformity. And I think when you get into these three division winners, quality is pretty exceptional. Really good quality. You got Division 1 and 2 champion in reserve, or Division 1 champion and reserve in that pair. Cool. The middle division, a little more spread in terms of type, but quality is really good. And then in the heavy set, you got a class winner, and then the reserve heavy standing out here. Really good. It's close to me, but I think both from a standpoint of uniformity and total quality, your champion pairs, the heavyweights. Congratulations.
Champion pair, Ava Stolberg. And then we also have a reserve, two Terry.
So then that leaves our middleweight and our lightweights vying for reserve. Again, both really good guys. Really good. But again, it just kind of comes down to not only quality, but uniformity. Pretty tough to deny the lightweights. Congratulations.
A reserve, Preston Clark. Now that concludes all the sheep shows for the Great Frederick Fair. Thank you, Mr. Terry Burks, for coming back to Maryland and judging our sheep. And Miss Kitty's here in the show ring for photos. If you won tonight, if you won yesterday, if you won Sunday, she's here to take photos. And if you are selling the market lamb on Saturday in our sale, please come see Austin and Kia. Get your photo taken. We don't want to come searching for you. Just a reminder for our meet open